Okay, we are live, episode 3. So, how is everyone doing tonight? Quick intro. If you're like me, you live and breathe reptiles. We aren't here for the clicks and the viral trends. We're here for the passion, the real passion. So, I started this show because I wanted a place for real keepers and the dedicated breeders to finally have a community within Europe where we can talk shop, share tips, tricks, and deep dive into the hobby that we love. We're doing it with one single goal, and that is just sharing the passion that drives us. Every week, we're sitting down with the biggest legends in the game and some of the newest up and coming prospects. Um, my name is Pappy from Pappy's Premium Pythons, and this is Pappy's Premium Pod. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome someone who's known worldwide. This guy basically needs no introduction because in the ball python game, everyone knows who he is. So, guys, help me welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Jurgen from Pro Herper. Hey.
Hey man, how are you doing? Thanks for the nice introduction. Maybe a bit too kind words.
Man, the real man, the real. Everybody knows who you are.
I don't know. Just try to help out as many people as I can. And yeah, thanks a lot. And before we dive into the pod, I just wanted to also say a quick thank you for doing this actually. Because I think that we don't really have that many YouTube shows and podcasts and all these things here in Europe. So I think it's really, really great. And the moment you asked for me to come on the pod, I was really actually excited to help you out and to come onto the pod and to discuss all these topics. So thanks a lot for the invitation. And yeah, keep doing this. And yeah, really well done.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Let me just quickly give a shout out to the people already in. I see Sena's there in the chat. Andy from Southern Serpentines, Chris from Herb Utopia. And I actually want to shout out Andy as well because Andy and I met just by chance. I told the story on the first episode, and that's one of the reasons why he was the first guest on the episode as well. And yeah, well, I already told the story, so if you didn't see it, you can go watch the first episode. But I want to shout out this guy because this is something that I have been thinking about for a bit. And like you said, we didn't have anything like this in Europe, and I've been basically binge watching all kinds of podcasts and YouTube channels since I came into this, and everything's obviously American content. And I thought, why don't we have something like this in Europe? Like I went to Ham and I was walking around looking at the faces of the sellers, and it's like, I don't know any of these people. Why? I could name you like 20 breeders in the US, but I didn't know anyone in Europe. And I just one day on Andy's group chats that he has on his community on Instagram, I said, well, we should have something like this, blah blah blah. Someone should do it. And then he was like, why don't you do it? And I stopped to think about it, and I was like, good question. Why don't I do it? I love talking to people. Anybody that knows me, just in my personal life or whatever, just even outside snakes, I'll meet someone new and I'll spend an hour talking to them. I love talking to people, interacting. So it makes sense. So I guess we're here. So shout out, Andy. Thanks for pushing me forward.
Well done, Andy. Well done.
Yeah, and I think this is again another great thing about this. Not people say, "Oh, this guy is weird. He's a freak. He likes snakes," but it's not just about that. Like what I see and what I love is the community that people have that you build. Obviously we were talking a little bit backstage. Now, you're saying how I met like Ricardo and like Chris in the comments as well. I met these people who live in my country just because we share a passion for snakes, Otherwise, I would have never met these guys. And yeah, so.
No, Yeah, I just mentioned it to you. This community thing is super important. I think it's, I mean, breeding these animals, that's a lot of fun and all of that, but it's way more than that. You know, it's a way of life. It's, you meet so many people, like-minded people, that turn out to be really good friends. So that's really nice. And I mean, you can clearly see it here in the comments. All these nice guys here. Yeah, I really enjoy this hobby, and this is also maybe we will dive into this a little bit later, but this is also something that at some point I want to do a little bit more. Also, this community building, especially in Europe, like you mentioned, so many breeders here, great breeders here, big breeders also, but many of them are not always well known. Sometimes they're a little bit, let's say, scared of socials, maybe, I don't know. Even though they have amazing snakes, if you come and visit their facilities, I mean, sometimes you're really blown away by what they have, which is really world class. But maybe that's also a little bit the American way versus the European way, where we are maybe a little bit more modest and not that showing off. That's maybe more the European way. I don't know. But it's good that you are doing this, for sure.
People don't like to show their faces. I notice a lot. But and also then we have another thing, which is the language barrier, which is something that I knew we kind of had, but I didn't know it was that much. Especially like when you're in this game, in this community, where I would say confidently like 95% of it is done in English. And there was a couple of people I messaged that I wanted to get on the show, and they were like, yeah, sorry, I'm not really comfortable speaking English or whatever. I don't really speak that much English, and they didn't want to come on because of that. So yeah,
it can be hard sometimes. If it's not your native language. I mean, for us, it's always easy, right? Because all of us speak so many languages here. But in the US, it's just always in their native language. But you have to switch and.
But let's get into a little bit of who you are. Jurgen, how did shed testing come into play? Because obviously you breed ball pythons as well. Everybody knows that, I think. But I would say that you're probably most known for, being the shed test guy in Europe.
Yes.
So how did that come into play?
So as you mentioned, so I was already keeping and breeding ball pythons. I think this year, so 2026 will be the 16th year actually of keeping and breeding. So already doing that for a long time. And I have to say that everything started actually in the US because there was a lab. And so there was a professor named Hannah Seidel, and she actually published a paper on genetic testing. And so in that paper, she described how to do it basically for albino, for lavender albino, and then ultramel as well. But then at that time, it was only ultramel A. And so at first I was like, okay, I saw the paper and I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting, but we don't really have something like this in Europe. But okay, who the hell wants to test for albino? No one is really interested in keeping albino anymore. Okay, maybe lavender could be some market, but also, not that super interesting, let's say. And then actually a second paper came out, and that was pied. And this was done by the Canadians this time. So that was Heather Roffley together with Alan. And we actually, I saw the paper and I was like, okay, I need to try this. I jumped on it, and then I started doing it in my own lab. I mean, the lab where I was doing my PhD at the time. I just left the lab actually. So I reached out to my previous boss at that time. And then I asked, okay, can I try this? And it worked well, because a lot of times, I'm sure Andy is also a scientist. He knows a lot of times when people publish things, it doesn't mean that it always works, unfortunately. So of course, the first few months was just collecting sheds. And I think I spent like half a year or something. I think I started out in March, and then finally I launched it in August. So at that time, those were the tests that were available. because the other people, the people in Canada and the US, made them available. And then we started actually developing our own tests, because obviously, I mean, that's just how it started.
When you did that the very first time, did you
Yeah.
start testing for the public, or were you just doing it for yourself?
No, so the first 6 months I was just basically testing and validating. So it was just, like, say, visual bites, HUD bites, mostly my animals, sheds from my animals. But of course, I had a lot of animals at that time, so it was easy to collect the sheds and then just check, okay, is it actually working, right? What these people are claiming here, is it actually working? The science did make sense, I have to admit. And so I just started doing it, and turned out that it worked. And then I started doing it for some friends, and then, okay, turned out that, okay, there was lots of interest, and then we actually launched very soon after. The first one I got then was what I developed myself, was actually clown, and then of course cryptic, because they're same gene. So it was quite easy. Once you have clown, it was quite easy to get cryptic. And then actually I also got into touch with Heather again, and turned out that they had basically found the same stuff. So they, independent from each other, we developed clown and cryptic. And it turned out that we had exactly the same. So that really confirmed my findings, let's say, and her findings. And in the meantime, this has also been published now. So yeah, it's just that's how we started. And then one thing came to another, and then actually another guy joined, and this was Charlie. So Charlie, he's running now shedtesting.com. And so he reached out, and then just, slowly we also started to collaborate. And now actually it's mostly me, Charlie, and Heather. We collaborate a lot. So whenever I find something, I typically share it with them, and also the other way around. So let's say I develop, I don't know, a puzzle test. I then give the test to them, and they confirm it, because if it works for me, and then they independently verify it, and it works also on the sheds of the animals in the US and also in Canada, then we know that it's really good, right? Yeah. Because you need to do that. I think you need to have this independently verified, and I think that has made us very confident actually in how good these tests are, because it works for me, it works for them, and sorry.
That's really good. That makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like you guys have like kind of a QA gate kind of thing, quality gate kind of thing. So one does something, and then it gets approved or confirmed by the other two. So
yeah. And so also, I mean, even before, I mean, first of all, it decreases the cost to develop something. And then on the other hand, some sheds are very easy to find here in Europe, while other sheds are very hard to find here. And sometimes it's the other way around. So for example, monsoon. So when we develop a new test, we typically need at least sheds from 20 different visuals, and ideally as unrelated as possible. So for monsoon, like 2 years ago, that was very, very hard to come by. It's same for zebra, for example. These are, I mean, it's still relatively new. So finding these sheds sometimes can be very difficult. And so by basically increasing the pool, so knowing that, okay, I can do this here, and then you guys can collect in Canada and someone can collect in the US, really speeds up things. So that has been also very successful for us. So that's how we've been collaborating now, and so far it's been going really well. And it's also, how do you say this? You sometimes you're also biased, right? It's a little bit like when you identify yourself, or when you try to identify your own clutches, and you have, let's say, I don't know, you have 6 eggs, and there was hurricane in the pairing, and all 6 you think are hurricane.
Everything. Yeah.
So and then you ask your friends, right? That's what you do. You ask them, hey man, do you agree with all 6 being hurricanes? And obviously if you have good friends who know a thing or two about ball pythons, then they will say, that's very unlikely, but let's have a look. And then typically they will say, oh no, these are not hurricane. and so it really helps you. It's the same with developing these tests, right? It really helps you when you're a little bit biased and you really want this to work, and you really want. So they will say, no, this is not correct, or let's do it this way, and we learn from each other, and I think that's been really great. That's really yeah.
Just quick side thing, because you mentioned monsoon there. Has it has it been confirmed if monsoon and moray is the same thing?
Yeah,
genetically?
yeah.
It is
So we did confirm that indeed. The only thing is that with monsoon, so that's a holdback test. That's the only test where we basically have a test that is not 100% accurate.
Okay.
Where we know that it's not 100% accurate. Basically, it's 99, above 99%. Sometimes we see something weird, and that is because we don't have the actual mutation. We're still looking for that one, but we're very, very close. So you can use it. That's why we call it a holdback test. You can use it to find out which ones are your holdbacks. But it's a little bit different if you want to sell the animals. So that's why we call it a holdback test. But using this holdback test, which is 99% accurate, we've been able to determine that both are the same. Yes.
Okay, cool. I wanted to ask as well, because obviously, like you mentioned, you're doing the shed tests for pretty much all of Europe and then some. Because I heard also from DJ from South Africa that he's sending his sheds over here for you to test. What's it like to be because I can imagine you would be very busy with the amount of shed testing you have to do, and then you're also breeding ball pythons. So what's that like? What's it like to be a breeder and shed tester and everything else that you probably do?
Yeah, so first of all, so DJ is not sending me sheds actually. What we do is the following. So I actually work with other labs as well. So I have a subsidiary lab in South Africa, and that's running the test for me so that they don't have to send them to me, and then you don't have issues with CITES and all these things. And so I've been doing this now for, I think, a year or so, mostly for DJ and a few other breeders in South Africa, a few other bigger breeders. But the idea is to launch now officially so that people can buy via the website and all these things.
Because there's quite a few well, because the only one I know is DJ from Reptiles for Centuries. And then there's one time, I think it was Dave Kaufman, he was in South Africa for a show, and he was obviously showing all the other breeders. They were coming out like with triple visuals, and I was like, wait, what? Who the hell is this person? I never heard of them. You know what I mean? So
yeah, there are actually quite a few nice breeders as well there. Also with some really cool project.
I did the conversion of like some of the animals that he had, whatever they cost. I think it's rand that they used on there.
Yes, it's in rand. Yes,
converted it to euro. I was like, whoa, really? So
it's a different market, It's a different market.
Exactly. It's not so big.
Yes, it's quite big, but I have to admit, I think DJ sells a lot to people in the US and also to Asia. And he's actually very, very successful, even though it's such a small country, and the high-end stuff that he produces, and also the other breeders, in South Africa. There are some really good breeders there. They've found a way to be very successful there. So, it's really incredible. There's a question here from Andy. I don't know if you want to pick it up or you want
No, that's why I brought it on screen, just to say,
yes.
Did you find any signs of the so-called split gene during the hurricane test development?
Yes, so I have to admit, Hans wanted to talk to me in Ham last December, but I really didn't have time, unfortunately. So I'm assuming it was about the split gene. So the problem with split gene right now, Andy, is that I don't think it's really well understood. As far as I know, as far as I understand it, maybe Hans understands it way better than I do. As far as I know, it also hasn't been isolated. And I also don't know if there's a super. I don't know if he already knows if it's incomplete dominant, if it's recessive. I have no idea actually. So maybe Andy, you can fill
it's
me in.
incomplete dominant. because I've seen Super Hurricane Super Split that he's posted. So he thinks that there's a super version, at least anyway.
It's possible. It's possible. So, I mean, what we can do, so this would be a different gene, basically, right? So it's just a different test that we will have to develop, I guess, unless it's really related to hurricane, but I guess that's not going to be the case. So that's why I was wondering if it has already been isolated. That always tells you a lot about what it actually is. Gives you a little bit more insights, let's say.
Obviously Hans would be the one to say. I'm trying to think, but I don't think that I've seen anything split without the hurricane. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think I've only seen splits with hurricane.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. But maybe, I mean, you never know, right? It can be so many things. So maybe Daddy gene. I don't know if that's one of.
Yeah.
So in the past, it was something that you saw a lot more. I actually owned one at one point. It's extremely nice, to be honest, especially when you combine it with lesser. But this is something that basically you don't see unless you pair it to any other bell animal, and especially lesser, maybe Mojave as well. So it could be line breeding. It could be all sorts of things. I think, Andy, I mean, at this point, it's just speculation, I guess. And indeed, I mean, if it's line breeding, it's very, very well possible. So then it would be like a high intensity type of hurricane situation, I guess. Instead of high intensity OD, you have like a high intensity hurricane. So that could very well be possible. But I don't have the answers at this stage.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I think it's just
Well, just to finish up on the shed testing part of the conversation, just very quickly.
Yes.
Now we have a new company in Europe doing shed testing.
Yes.
To be honest, I didn't think they were already doing tests, but I've seen a couple stories this week of people saying it's been shed tested by RepGen or whatever. What do you think about this? So obviously RepGen was created by Devin and Teresa. I know that they were big clients of yours, I would say. Do you have a relationship with them? Did you know that they were doing this? Was it surprising for you, or what's going on?
So first of all, I mean, yes, they had been working a lot with me in the past, indeed. So I've been testing a lot for them. And the last time I tested for them was in September, I think. That's when in Ham I got a nice, a big batch of sheds from them. And then after that, I actually didn't hear from them again. And I have to admit, so it's been so busy, and I try to, let's say, stay in touch with most of my customers, but it's sometimes, especially during breeding season, it's really, really hard. And so, okay, then they launched, I think, somewhere early January, so a few weeks ago. Was a little bit surprised, so I didn't know that this was coming. But to be honest, I always expected that RGI would come to Europe at one point. That just, I guess, would have made sense. Even though at the very early beginning, so when I was talking to you guys, RGI was at that time, they were also they started also basically on the same insights, the same two papers that I mentioned. I think they were already doing sex determination maybe, but that was very, very, the market for sex determination in colubrids is basically non-existent. I would say it's very small compared to morph tests. So I actually also reached out at that time to tell them, like, I'm doing this. I have a scientific background. I do this now for these tests. So if you guys want to work together, or blah blah blah. At the time, they weren't super interested. They didn't really want to do it. Don't know why. So that's why I also started developing my own test. So I was a little bit surprised now that they wanted to collaborate with another breeder, but totally fine. I think Devin and Teresa are great people, and I wish them all the best. And let's see what happens. I think competition is good for everyone. I like
It's a sign the
competition.
market's growing, right? The way
Sorry?
I see it. The way I see it is, if you have competition, it means that the industry or the hobby, it's growing.
Probably, yes, probably. Maybe they've seen that it goes, or that Europe is actually a very interesting market, because I've been testing so much. So I mean, maybe that's why they wanted to come to Europe now. I don't know. But okay, I have my customers. Okay, yeah.
So there's just another company, right? No, there's no bad blood between you guys. Would you be open to collaborating with them now if they reached out to you, or is that like a no-go?
I mean, they can always reach out. Yeah. I don't know how they would like to collaborate, because they're of course not developing any tests, right? They are using RGI's tests, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So I don't think they are developing any tests, but
It doesn't have to be now. Could be something in the future. We don't.
yeah, you never know. You never know. I don't exclude anything. Yeah.
That's good. No,
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So you mentioned obviously 2025 was a big year for you, and you recently announced a new partnership with Exclusive Snakes, which I think is great, by the way. As if you were not busy enough. Now you've gotten yourself into shipping. I don't want to say company, but yeah, maybe you explain. What is this? What's your partnership with Exclusive Snakes? What's it all about?
Yeah, so just to, I mean, perhaps make it clear, at this stage we're just shipping our snakes, right? We're not doing this as a business, as a business or as a service to other breeders. But it's just a way to combine forces, let's say, because a lot of times there's interest from US, from Japan, whatever, all these, from Thailand, all these bigger countries, these Asian countries, the US. And then if you can combine your shipments, it makes more sense, because then prices goes down for both of us, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know them now for, I don't know, several years. Marcelo has become a great friend. I think he's extremely professional. It's probably, I mean, I've recently been in their facility again. I think it's easily the best run facility here in Europe. They have amazing snakes, amazing quality, and it's just well run. I have a lot of their animals. I mean, I have a lot of animals from them as well in my own collection, and they've always done well. I've never had an issue with any of them. So, I mean, I would highly recommend them as well. And it's just a privilege to work with people that are that professional, and I think that's rare, even globally. So I think as Europeans, so we were discussing the Europe versus US thing earlier on, where we don't really see the bigger breeders here in Europe. I think they are really, I mean, he and his team, that's really a nice example of how you can do it here in Europe, and something we should really look up to, and I have to say that I'm really envious at the way of how he's doing things, and we can all learn from that. So yeah.
No, that makes sense. So so obviously, you're only doing the shipments for yourselves now, but do you guys see a future where you would open up to other people, or is it only is it only exports you guys are doing, or are you doing imports as well?
No, so for now it's just, I mean, we sell our snakes and that's it basically. So we don't plan on doing imports or anything like that. Although, I mean, let's see what happens. I'm not going to exclude anything. Maybe at some point I help. I mean, I now also had a few people reach out to me to help sell snakes. But then, if it's just one snake, it typically doesn't make sense, right? Because a box easily is around 1K. So it has to be a really high-end snake to ship just one box, basically. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Another thing I wanted to get into is, and I see it's in just under your name there on the screen. You now own World of Ball Pythons.
Yes, so since almost a year, I think. And so I think we finalized the purchase in March of 2025. I had some time left, so why the hell not? No, I'm just kidding. I'm already way too busy, I think. But I actually, uh, I've been working really hard with my team now on World of Ball Pythons, and I have to say it has been slightly frustrating for me because my developers have always promised me that it will be finished by this date, and then keeps getting postponed. Also,
Yeah.
in part because of me, because I see it always bigger and bigger. But I think, I mean, the idea is to very soon now, hopefully in the coming weeks, but it's hard to give an exact date, to launch or relaunch, let's say, World of Ball Pythons, where anyone actually can upload again, can claim their world first, the way we had it in the past. I still see value for that. But then there will be this extra dimension where if you shed test an animal and you upload a photo, it will also be featured on the database. So then you have a way better database to compare to. So if you use the wizard, for example, because in the past, I don't know if you remember, I think a lot of people now, not going to say no longer use World of Ball Pythons because it's still, I mean, I think the second biggest reptile related website is still really huge if I look at the number of visitors, but there are still some mistakes in the database, and I mean we all know this, I think, and I really hope with this shed testing dimension that we had, that we can basically take that away
all the time, man. That's it. It was World of Ball Pythons when I bought my first snake, and obviously started watching YouTube videos and stuff. It was World of Ball Pythons that made me say, "I'm gonna become a breeder." That like genetic calculator thing.
Yes, the wizard.
That stuff blew my mind. You know, I was mixing all sorts of things, and it just blew my mind. I was on it whenever it stopped working. The calculator stopped working. I was heartbroken.
Okay, so I have some really good news for you, because actually we've been working really hard, and that's what we are now finalizing. Actually, that's the wizard, and so we aim to bring back the wizard as it was, but just way better. So, for example, with banana, if you select a male maker, you also see the sexes of your offspring and all these things. So, like, it's going to be the way it was, but just way better. And then actually there will become, I mean, one of the problems that many new breeders have right now. So sorry, I don't know how long you've been breeding, but I just mentioned I'm now doing this for 16 years. And when I got into the hobby, what I was producing was like an Enchi to a Mojave, you know, and then you had a Enchi Mojave, and these were snakes that were worth 1K, you know, that was really high. I mean, super high and stuff, but it was really nice. While now these things, if you want to produce something very high end, or 1K is not super high end, let's say, but if you just want to produce something nicer, it's immediately you have 5-6 genes, and understanding all of this and learning all of this. It's, I mean, the step to get into that is just way bigger for these new breeders, new people coming in than it was in the past. And so that's where I see a lot of value for World of Ball Python now, where you can still go to Morph Marketing, you can look up there some photos, but there are also so many misidentified animals there, and there are actually other things that we're also still working on. There will be a contest actually to select and finally figure out which breeder has the nicest animals. I think that will be a lot of fun. That's something that will become part of World of Ball Python when we relaunch. So that's very exciting, I think.
It's going to be a bit of a social media thing as well, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, you mentioned the community earlier, and now we already have a Discord, which is free for everyone to use. And the idea is, right now it's not the biggest Discord, let's say, but I mean, I don't know how many people we currently have, around 150 or something, I think. But once we relaunch it, the idea is also to bring these new breeders and also experienced breeders, to bring them to the Discord and build like the largest community in a Discord. So that's something that we plan to do, and it's going to be free. I always want to give back to the community as much as I can, and help everyone as much as I can, which sometimes can be difficult because you cannot help everyone. But and then long term. Sorry?
All you can do is try.
All we can do is try, absolutely. And then long term, I really want to dive into these real world events, let's say. So I don't know if you were present at the Rexpo event a couple of years ago, where they organized also, it was a smaller show, but very focused on breeders. And then there was this nice dinner, which I have to say, unfortunately, I was never able to join. But I really like these kind of things where we just come together and talk about snakes, and it doesn't always have to be a show, just grab a beer together or something like that. So I think like this social part of the hobby, that's where I think World of Ball Pythons, where it's, really the world of ball python breeders come together, grab a beer together, talk a little bit about snakes, maybe the night beforehand, something like that. I don't know. Still things to think about, and if you guys have ideas, just let me know, shoot. But yeah, I think that's also where I want to use World of Ball Pythons to breed this community feeling a little bit more.
And what I wanted to ask is, obviously going back to the beginning, how did you come up with the idea of buying World of Ball? Because I didn't even know you could just buy a website. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How did that whole logistics thing work?
So I have to admit, it was partly frustration from my side, because it was no longer being kept up to date. Also it was no longer working. I think the wizard at that time already was no longer working. And it was a resource where I felt like, okay, this is something a lot of people depend on, actually. And then there's also another tool that I've been working on now for 2 years or so. And okay, I cannot go into too much detail, but this is going to be probably bigger than shed testing. That's something I can tell you now already. And hopefully we will launch it also this year. And it fits really well into this entire World of Ball Python team. And that's actually where it came from. So I wanted the website to launch this, and then I was like, okay, World of Ball Pythons isn't being maintained that much anymore. So I reached out to Thomas. And so the story there is actually, it was 2 people. One of them was Thomas. And the other guy was actually the breeder. He was the expert, and Thomas was the developer. And the breeder, the expert, at some point he just stopped doing it because it became too much. The problem with these things is that it's an exponential problem, because every year you get more and more combinations, right? Mm-hmm. And so manually adding these to the website is just insanity. At some point, at the start, it's just this 1 in 4 chance. So you have 4 different combinations if you pair an Enchi to Mojave. But if you, for example, you start working with 5 genes, then you get 32 different combinations, and then it's 64, and so on and so on. And so it becomes really a lot very, very fast. And they, at some point, basically the breeder gave up, and then it was Thomas, and he was, I reached out to him, I guess, at the right time, the right moment, and he was, he didn't really want to sell. Luckily, I was able to convince him, and I think it was a good fit with what I'm doing, trying to identify the combinations using shed testing, but then together with this wizard, for example, where you also try to identify your offspring, and it all fits together, I think, really well, and we can hopefully build something nice. So I've always, from the start, try to develop my own tools, invest a lot in my own website, my own platforms, and World of Ball Pythons is just part of that. And it's European, so I guess it should stay in the hands of Europeans.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. That last line there, it was awesome. Very good. Yeah, good stuff. I have another point here I wanted to talk about, and someone has actually mentioned it in the comment. So your
Yes.
projects, I don't know, to be honest, if these are the only. Well, I wouldn't call Neo so much of a dinker, but Vanta. I mean, what's going on there? Neo, Vanta. What are you working with?
So, okay, first up, Neo. Neo is actually, it comes from Ralph Davis. So, for those who still remember, Ralph was actually, let's say, the Justin before Justin, you know?
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
yeah,
he
yeah.
was the biggest breeder in the world. He was doing, I mean, he was the first to make dreamsicles, for example. I think he also imported lavender. Blackhead comes from him, Phantom comes from him. I mean, he was doing so much very early on. So let's say the early 2000s.
2000s. Yeah.
Um, but now he apparently loves fishing also, and he stopped spending time with the snakes and he's spending more time fishing, I guess. And so Neo was one of his, I don't know, later stage projects, and he never really, yeah, worked with it a lot, I guess. And now he's not
Was
breeding anymore, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So, was this some? Do you know the whole story behind? Was it something that he imported? Was it something that he found by accident in the collection?
No, no. So he imported a lot, and Neo
Yeah.
was one of them. He had proven it to be recessive, and there was only one visual male, and I just he made it available, and I immediately picked it up. Um, and I've been keeping Neo now for, I don't know, it's already 5, 6 years ago. I have to say that the male was very small when I purchased him. I think he was already 2 or 3 years old, and he was only like 400 or 500 grams, so it was a very tiny male. Not doing super well, not eating regularly, and all these things. Right now, he's doing really well, but at the start, it took a while to get him going, and then I produced double huts or huts, and then also double huts with clown, for example, with bite, with all of these things, with albino. So trying to get it into other recessive projects.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I've been selling huts for 3 or 4 years now, I think, but very low amounts, keeping back, yeah, almost everything. And so now I finally started to produce. This is the first year that I started to produce the visuals. And so there's a question from Senna, and he thinks that it could be the same as paint. At this stage, I don't know, but yeah, it looks very similar. So my guess is that it's going to be at least allelic. I don't know if it's going to be the same. So you have paint, you have sentinel, you have speckled. There are quite a few of those, but it's just in general a really cool gene, I think. And also
Yeah.
paint, you don't really see that much here in Europe.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Sarah, I was gonna go more into the direction of shed testing. Have you guys made any progress in that? Are you working on it?
So we've been working on paint, but so far it hasn't been going super well, I have to say. So yeah, we don't have a test. That's all I can say. We've been trying some things. We're not there yet. We're going to try some different things now, and hopefully, yeah. Sometimes you need some luck as well.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. There's this possibility that paint and sentinels have been crossed, and then yeah, it becomes a little bit more difficult to find a test.
Yeah, because
It's basically two lines that have been nixed.
people will bring something into their collection. Say, for example, like I buy Neo and it looks exactly like paint, and then I decide to start calling it paint, and then you lose all track of things. And then I sell it as a paint. Somebody else buys it and it's a paint, and it moves on, but it's not a paint; it's a Neo. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of stuff like that happens especially when it comes to like newer genes, and because of the value inside them.
Hmm.
It's Yeah, because like even in the States, people would say that you hear about the hurricane and trick thing, and people say like how hurricane is so much more expensive than trick, and it's like, well, it's the same thing. So people that have trick in their collection are now calling it hurricane just to try and get a little bit more value out of their animals. So
Yeah, so they try to serve on the success of Hans, I think. But okay,
yeah,
it has been proven now the same. So, but the problem is, I think we can call it the same, and you can do that after it has been proven to be the same with a test.
yeah,
But
exactly.
before, I would never do it because you never know if it's the same or not. That's why
Yeah,
we now have Ultramel A and Ultramel B, for example,
yeah,
which also makes our life a lot harder to test, because now we have to test. Actually, it's two different tests
yeah.
for Ultramel that we always have to do.
And
If
that's
people,
another thing that I don't see. Ultramel is probably my favorite recessive and the thing I work with the most. And I've never had to test anything for Ultramel because I work with
Mhm.
visuals. And if you ask me what kind of Ultramel I have, I couldn't tell. And even
Yeah.
if I sell it, I don't know if I'm selling, obviously, or even if I buy a new one in, I don't know if it's Ultramel A or Ultramel B because people don't, put the extra letter into the thing. I would guess most people that have Ultramel are probably in the same position as me. They don't know if it's Ultramel A or Ultramel B because
Yeah,
you lose it.
I think so. For Ultramel, okay, I don't own Ultramel, so I have no idea. But for Fire, for example, we also have multiple Fire lines. Yellow Belly, it's the same. And I have to say, for Fire, for example, for me, there is really a clear difference between Fire A and Fire B. I always have to check which one is the brightest one, the nicest one. I think it's Fire A. But I think that at some point, this is going to be way more important for many people,
Yeah.
because I mean, sometimes people want to produce, let's say, a Pompeii, and then they use, yeah, I don't know, or just any combination, whatever, doesn't matter. So let's say you use chocolate instead of Wookie, you use Fire A instead of Fire B. So, I mean, one of the big breeders publishes something, and it's like a Fire Wookie, Yellow Belly, I don't know, Black Pastel Clown, let's say. But then if you have, I mean, for Black Pastel, we already know that there are many different lines actually. So we know Barnhart is the most famous one, but there are many others as well. So that's why we don't have a test yet, because I mean, we're still looking into how many there actually are. But so far it looks like there are probably 5 or maybe 6. So it's really a lot. And they're genetically distinct. So you could say it's like chocolate and Wookie, where it looks kind of the same, but it's not the same, Wookie for me is really different from chocolate. So I always prefer to use Wookie. I think it looks way better. And so at some point, I think this is going to become way more important, which lines you actually have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even referring to those, like, because obviously you mentioned like Wookiee and chocolate, but those are named differently.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just told me about Fire A and Fire B. I didn't know there was two types of fire. This is the first
Yes.
time I'm hearing about it. So
So there have been in the past, so the problem is we call it Fire A and Fire B because in the past there were, I don't know, 10 different fire lines or something, and now they converge, and we know these are just genetically two different fires. So you had Creed, you had Flame, you had, I mean, I don't know all these different names. I also don't know by heart which one is which. I always have to check all of these things. But the idea is also to, I mean, for World of Ballpounders, for example, to make all of this much more clear. Like, how many lines do we actually have, and do they look different? Because also the super fires actually, I think, look really different. Okay, we don't have that many examples yet. I tested a few fires, a few super fires, but it seems that one or the other is actually way more yellow, and the other is just more pure white, let's say, and the other one is has more of these yellow patches. So there's going to, I mean, okay, this is only a handful of examples, so I don't know if we can really generalize this.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you want to just touch on that question from Sene there. DG is also like that.
So
there's a couple different lines of DG that have been confirmed.
So DG is, this is something that is a little bit frustrating for me. I understand where this is coming from, because RGI at some point they published an ABC test for DG. Basically, there is just one desert ghost mutation, right? And it's just a simple recessive. And all the lines that we have tested so far, the only thing I haven't tested is Sahara, but the other lines always, you have Blondie from Hans as well, for example, it's always the same. And then you have the Canadian one. You have to help me out here. Sorry?
Enhancer?
Yes, Enhancer. So those three are all just completely identical. So Sahara, I'm not sure. I got a shed at one point, but the quality of the shed was just not good enough to tell for sure. So it failed the test. And I don't know if someone else, I don't know by heart. I would have to check with Heather or Charlie if they did that at one point. So far, I would say there's just one line. There are no multiple lines for DG. No.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of variation. Same as Clown, where you also have a lot of variation, and Bite as well, right? Where you have low white bites and high white bites, and
exactly.
There's always variation.
And that's another thing that people are, I think, they're not taking into consideration a lot, especially nowadays with the whole thing with the the new genes that are new genes, but it's just maybe some could be. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. No drama over here. I'm just saying that it could be variation. We don't know. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So I want to be conscious of time as well. I see we're already past the 50-minute mark, and I try to keep it not so long that our viewers get bored. Even though that once we start talking snakes, I mean, we could stay here for a couple of hours at least easily. But to finish, I want to ask you some quick answer questions.
Just yes or no, or
no, not yes or no. You'll have to say something. But okay. I want to ask you, obviously we're still kind of new into the year, so you mentioned 2025, how great it was. I want you to highlight one moment from 2025. It could be snake related, maybe personal, work, something that you say 2025 was great because of this.
Okay, so I got married in 2025, so that's an easy one.
Oh, you are not sleeping in the couch tonight, man.
No. Yeah, actually, I'm going to get married again in 2026 with the same woman. Yeah, so that's okay. Long story short, we did an unofficial marriage abroad, and now we're going to do an official marriage here in Belgium.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Very nice. I keep hearing that from my woman, but yeah, just chill. That's
a public question. Yeah. I'll speak a little bit less loud now.
The what do you call it? The wedding venues, the prices are unreal. It's just like, take it easy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Let me make a quad visual first, then we'll talk about it. Anyway, okay. So going into 2026, what's your goal for 2020? What's the top? Obviously, you have already mentioned getting married, so that doesn't count. Something else.
Okay, so snake related. I think World of Ball Python, the relaunch, that's something I'm really looking forward to. And then all the related tools. So hopefully in the coming months. At the same time, again, since I have some time left during the night or whatever, I've been writing a book, and the idea is also, so it will be maybe 2 books and maybe even 3 books, who knows. But the first book, I guess, will be just very simple, how to keep and breed ball python book, which will be sold probably, I don't know, hopefully I can finish it by summer, but okay, it will depend on how busy I will be with World of Ball Python and relaunch and all these things. And then final thing is, finally getting tests for other species. I think that's something we've been working now on for quite some time. There are many other breeders that keep asking me and keep, especially Burmese python, I think is something breeders ask a lot. Other boas, hognose, corn snakes, monitors. I mean, I get asked almost every week to test something else, which if we don't have the test, we can unfortunately not do it yet. But yeah, love to help those people as well.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome. So what's your favorite gene to work with?
That's easy. Clown. Yeah.
Clown's your favorite. Oh, that video you posted recently with the redhead stuff.
I will post another one with. I have more redhead clowns that are even crazier now.
Awesome. In your opinion, then, so I was gonna say, what's the best recessive? Well, I guess I know the answer already.
Okay, so the best non-recessive then maybe for me is Enchi.
Enchi, really? Okay.
Yeah, Enchi.
It's not something you hear about every day.
Yeah, I don't know why. Enchi always does what you want it to do. It always brings contrast, always brings color. If you work with clown bites, for example, always brings in back a lot of pattern, and then it also reduces at the same time in other combinations. It's really crazy, actually, what it does. You have a great super, in my opinion, as well. So you just cannot have enough Enchi.
Yeah, there you go, people. You heard it here first.
And they stay really nice also as adults. So yeah,
we're gonna see the price of Enchi now, boo.
Who knows?
But anyway,
especially with black pastel, also really nice.
Yeah,
another tip.
Yeah, what I like what it does with blackhead. That allelic interaction. Like even today, the video that Justin posted, I've already watched it. He had an ODYB Enchi blackhead. I love it. I love it so much. The color, the contrast. It was anyway.
Maybe a small remark. Blackhead is not allelic with Enchi. Blackhead is a spider complex, and Enchi is black pastel complex. Just a small remark.
Oh, it's the other way around.
It's black pastel and Enchi. Those are.
I thought, right. I thought it was the other way around.
No.
Oh, my bad. See, this is why we have the pros here.
No,
don't listen to me. I don't know anything. Listen to the pros. Anyway, I want to ask you as well. What's your advice to be a successful breeder in Europe?
Do what you're doing, I think. So my advice is always, so there are newer people, when they come into the hobby, you hear them complain a lot, and everyone is competition, and they focus so much on, oh, this is a competitor and that's a competitor. And I'm always like, just first of all, do your own thing. And then secondly, do stuff that increases the pie for everyone. I have always tried to do that with the shed testing. Now with World of Ball Pythons, I try to, with the book that I'm writing, if people can easily buy a book, which is, I'm not going to make it very expensive so that people get good information very cheaply. So hopefully more people will come into the hobby. And you can do a lot of things, you can go to your local school, you can talk to friends, family, whatever. And if everyone just brings in one more person into this hobby, then we double the entire market overnight, right?
Yep.
So I would say just do whatever you can to reach new people, like starting a podcast, for example. I think that's a great example. And you try to increase the pie for everyone, and if I bring in someone and then he buys from you, that's good for everyone, right? Even if he didn't buy from me, if you bring in someone else, maybe that person will buy from me then. So at some point, ultimately,
we just need the market to move. Yeah. We just need the market to move. Yeah, what's yours will come to you eventually. So
yeah,
that's my mentality anyway. Oh, and I was gonna say, you're doing the book and everything. Do you plan on making it into an audiobook? I don't get a lot of time to sit down and read. I have a lot of time to walk around with headphones on. So for me, if it was an audiobook,
Who knows? I think nowadays you can probably do that with AI or something, like auto-generate an audiobook, or I don't know. So the book right now, I think I have around 150 pages already. But now, yeah, I need to split it up perhaps. So I think I will make like a follow-up book perhaps, where it's like the first stage is just very basic. So maybe that's not for you. Like for coming into the hobby, where do you buy ball pythons? How do you buy them? What do you need when you go to a show like that? The very, very basic stuff. But then the follow-up book would be maybe a deep dive into the genetics, and then also how the business side, and like for more the breeders, let's say, who are a little bit more experienced. So I already have enough content almost for 2 books, I think. And there's still a lot that I need to write. So probably will become 2 books at one point. Who knows?
Yeah,
but no promises. No promises.
No worries. What's the, well, I was gonna say, I mean, this is kind of a vague question because you already said so much for your future, but like what is the future for Pro Herper?
So I'm just getting started, that's all I can say. Nice. So nice. I see there are so many things that I still want to do. There are 2 things I absolutely love besides my wife. There are 2 things I absolutely love. And the first one is innovation, and the second one is ball pythons, or just reptiles in general. And I still see, I mean, there are so many things. If you compare reptiles versus what we have for dogs and cats and horses, and we basically have nothing, and it has always been very frustrating to me that we have so little. So I think I've more than a lifetime of things that I can come up with in this hobby, in this industry, for sure. So just to give you some feedback, when I started out with testing 4 years ago, all the money I've made, I've reinvested. It's not that I made myself super rich or anything like that. I just love these animals. I've reinvested, buying wolf ball pythons, now developing tools, developing new tests. I actually even took a pay cut. That's just how obsessed I am, let's say. And I'm here to stay. That's for sure.
We need this so much. We need more people like you, for sure. So nomination time. We're going to the end of the podcast. I don't know if you know about this or not, but at the end of the podcast, I'm asking my guests basically to nominate someone that they want to see on the show, that should be on the show, that needs to come on the show, share their vision and their wisdom with us. So go ahead. You can nominate someone of your choice.
I would say Marcelo, if you can get him on the pod.
I already tried.
Yeah, I know he's super, super busy. If you cannot get him on the pod, there are plenty of other people that are doing amazing things. So I think Michael, he's also Michael Lopez, also doing really nice things, and has great English. That's what we were discussing at the start, right? That sometimes the language barrier is a problem, because there are other nice guys. So maybe that one. I think he will fit in nicely on your pod. I didn't discuss this with him. So.
No, that's fine. This is what I want. I want to clip this, send it to the people.
Send it to him. Send it to him.
They want you. Huh?
Voila.
The world has spoken.
Voila.
But listen, I mean, I want to thank you again for coming on. It's been great. Never spoken to you like this face to face before or anything, for the people out there. So you were great. The things that you're doing are great. The things that you've done are great. The things that you're going to do, they sound great. Keep doing it, man. Keep working. It's like you say, you want this hobby to grow, this community to be better and everything. And I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure that the people watching will be happy with what they heard here today. And
I hope so.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been Jurgen.
So thanks to you. Thanks for giving me the stage, and yeah, who knows? Maybe in a few months after launching World Ball Pythons or something, maybe we should do another one. I don't know.
Sure.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? And keep it up. And yeah, I'm sure you will find plenty of people who want to come onto the pod here in Europe. There are so many great guys. I mean, I just mentioned Michael, but there are so many others as well.
Yeah.
I can mention a
I'm
few
blessed.
dozen.
I'm blessed. I'm happy because I reached out to people who I've had never even spoken to before. I've obviously followed them on Instagram and stuff like that, seen their work, but never actually spoken to them before. And messaging and people replying like, "Oh, this is amazing. Yeah, I really want to be on. Book me for such and such date." And I'm happy to say that until the start of March, I have a guest already lined up for every Friday. So,
oh, it's nice. Can you
what
already
else
see
can I
who's going to be next or not?
That's a need to know basis. I'll reveal that midweek.
Okay, we will just have to tune in.
Yeah, tune in. Yeah, follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, check out the stories. I always post a little teaser video kind of thing. So yeah, be on the lookout. Yeah, again, thanks very much. I'm gonna get you off the screen. Say goodbye to these people. And yeah.
Thank you, and have a nice evening, all of you.
You too, my friend. Thanks so much. Later. Jurgen again. Awesome, guys. That was an amazing episode. So that's a wrap. A huge thank you to Jurgen for coming on and sharing so much of his, so much value with us today, because that's what it is. Information is value, especially in this industry. And yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, if I could speak. Share this with another keeper or breeder, whoever you feel like it. Just share it. We are building this community within Europe together. Every bit of support helps us keep this passion alive. Yeah. You can find more of my work at Pappy's Premium Pythons. Follow on, let me change this footer here. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Morph Market, as you probably do with almost everybody else. So until the next time, stay focused on the passion, and let's keep those projects moving. Pappy out.